So hi and welcome. Hi Sylvia, didn't see you. And Michael and Greg, whoever is also Klaus, James, Margaret, whoever I don't see. Yeah, so the intention with this is to bring more awareness into every level, as well as like to really infiltrate it into the third dimension, the repression work. And just to also see how there's no need to kind of find refuge in none of the dimensions. Like they all intervene with each other. They all complement each other. They all really important to each other. And even though, there's so much time had passed and I worked with a lot of stuff here and first dimension, okay, was already established, but second dimension, there was a lot of work that needed to be done. And of course, there was I'll talk a little bit more about that. And I hope we can have some time to practice as well. There was a lot of resistance to third dimension work, to repression work. But when it did come, I was so ready and so inspired to engage in it that it brought so much fruits by not avoiding the first and the second dimension and kind of merging everything together. And although so much was done, I still find myself going back sometimes and looking at some story that I haven't seen and going into second dimension. And I actually just posted a hybrid facilitated session that kind of merges all three. I mean, awareness is here, so it's always here. So it's first dimension. And I'm kind of, I talk about how to not lose it. So I talk in the facilitated session and I posted it in the members area just right now, 5 minutes ago. And it was a hybrid between second dimension and third dimension. What I find with that is the quality and the movement of the energy that we can tap into really, really quickly is so fascinating. It's like, it's not given into the easy emotions, which is sadness for me is very easy. So I don't stay with sadness. And it's really allowing the sadness to take me places. And if it's something, a story that I haven't seen, I would go there and I would spend a little bit of time there, not overcompensating or taking myself out of, let's say, more repression work, but I would immediately go back and just attend the energy and follow the energy more in repression style. So you'll see it in the demo, but all that to say, like you have, apart from me just talking about integral KI here, you can see it in a facilitated, self-facilitated session in the, I think I posted in meetings, members chat level 2, something like that. And so I would like to, let's see. You know what? I would like to open up and see here where you're at, and if there's something you want to ask about this particular meeting, your own observation of 3 dimensions playing out within your experience of playing with these tools, or any specific questions. At first, I want to attend that, and then I'll go more into the graphic that I wanted to share with you. And we have some people still attending. So. Hi, Christine, welcome.
Hi.
Hi. All right. Okay, so maybe we'll have questions afterwards. So let me share this. How do I get there? Desktop. Oops. Close this. Oh my goodness. So much stuff here. Bother is. Yeah, everything is covered in. So remove us, maximize this. All right. And I don't know, how do we pull this up? Oh, it's always going to be there. Oh, there. Okay. So this is just to demonstrate, I mean, there's the map, and it's like, it's been such a poof, blessing, really, to put it more in a visual format, to really understand how everything really springs from that initial shock of frozen fear and so on, and how we really find and look for safety. So, but here I just want to demonstrate how, in my view, all dimensions are interconnected, and not one should be worshipped over the other, but all can kind of harmoniously become a part of our lifestyle, a part of our inner seeing, so to say. So first dimension, and we know that as witnessing work. And I just put here the circle, it's just the space, right? And the all-seeing eye. So we're just aware. So resting is awareness, allowing what is. Oh my goodness, what is going on? Sorry. Excuse me. I just need to post this. It's okay. Back to awareness. What does it look like, in your everyday life? Maybe you have a practice of meditation, great, but maybe you have just like moments of moment-to-moment awareness. Maybe it's just the fact that when you do KI, you're just much more present and you're much more there, instead of being lost in the emotion or lost in the sensation or lost in the story. And awareness, perhaps with practice, starts to arise for you as hand in hand, arising together with whatever is arising, right? Instead of being being lost inside the story. So that takes some practice, whether it's KI, you can practice just doing sessions by yourself or with others, and you're gonna build that muscle as well. You can bring it to any other part of your life, washing dishes more mindfully, being in the shower, feeling the water, whatever the portals that you find, like just do more of that. Not because you have to, just because become curious. How is it that, what happens? What is the mechanism that pulls me out of the present moment? And just watch it. So for everyone, it's kind of a different kind of question or different kind of anchor. For someone, it could be a pet. For someone, it could be plants or gardening, or there's so many portals. We are actually always present. we're just so busy usually in our head, or doing stuff that we don't realize and don't recognize that we are. Okay, so it is an important part, whatever you find to it. Just the fact of deeply listening to someone is self-regulating. Self-regulating is you are right here and now, you are aware, you are present. You're not in your mind, because the mind is very dysregulating. So kind of find those places where you can bring it more into your life in a more practical way. And I'll talk about the tool that covers all of this, and we can all practice it. So, okay, so first dimension, what I see, what happens here. Well, here, the ultimate freedom in the middle. So freedom embodied, but all of them have to be there, and all of them are also interlapping. Because when I started to do a lot of KI work, which was through my training and through the years of training others in just second dimension KI, what I found, it was the actual capacity to include everything started to arise. So this inclusion, compassion. So from us practicing second dimension KI, which is in this case, horizontal work, like really clearing up and being so attuned to all the ego structure, the map of the ego, so to say. This is second dimension KI. Okay, where was the origin? What did I start to believe about myself? And this is, we're talking about deficiency stories, right? So deficiency stories are like lids to all the repressed material, repressed emotions, which we're going to go there. But for now, just this capacity and this need to actually do this work, it's really, really important, because we can't just skip. And if we do skip and we start with this, it's perfectly fine, but you might need to go back and embrace those, how I say, like lost, neglected children energies within ourselves. So horizontal work is really KI mining. And why is horizontal? Because if you can imagine, the ego is like, we always hear it in non-duality, and the ego is just past and future. It always hangs out in the trauma, right, that happened. So even unconsciously, but it always hangs out in this past energy. What happened to me? And this what happened to me tries to fix itself and projects itself into the future, or projects itself into the future, the worst case scenario, or whatever it is. But there is this horizontal thing that's happening here. So clearing on that level is very important. And that's what's happening in the process of doing the work from presence with awareness, and not getting stuck in the story, because this can get, people can, with a very, very subtle way of not paying attention, we can just be spinning and spinning in story and not really releasing anything. Because it's just a simple thing, as I'm saying, like, because I don't know if you see my hands, but if awareness, if whatever arises for you, you prompt. This is with prompting, right? Second dimension, we prompt. KI mining. Mining is the suchness of second dimension. So you prompt, right? And with the prompting, stuff arises. And with stuff arises, awareness is always here. It's like glued to anything, everything that is arising, but it's not immersed in it. It's not entranced by it. And that is the very subtle difference that we need to start paying attention to. How this is awareness is actually here with, arising with, as opposed to be immersed in. Okay, so prompting, nervous system regulation, because a lot of KI practices, and there's the focus shifting, and perhaps for some people they might find it very, very slow, and they might do kind of what I'm doing in the demo video, is a hybrid. And it's a hybrid where you don't completely neglect the story, but you don't fully dive into all the details. So anyway, we can talk a little bit more about it later. So it's the inner child and the shadow work, body-mind connection. Here for the first time, we started to connect body-mind. And one of the tools that kind of sipped from the vertical work or third dimension into second dimension is body-mind mirroring, which is doing perfectly that. It's really connecting one and the other, as opposed to being disconnected. Unconsciously, we're believing one thing and the mind is saying completely other thing, and it's like blaming the other person, where actually inside I feel like I'm unlovable. So if it's I'm unlovable and I'm going to connect with I'm unlovable, I'll connect my mind to it, and I'm going to just acknowledge it. I'm unlovable. I am unlovable. So I'm just unlovable. Nobody loves me. And in that way, what is happening immediately? You're actually engaging with not just one tool, you engage in all three dimensions. And I can come back to it a little bit later in detail, explain it, and we can practice that too. So embracing your heart, this is where I found, I was looking for love for a while. Like, what does love look like? What does love move? What does love feel like real love, like transcendental love? And when I came to KI, I understood that it was all these shells around my heart, all these protection layers that were not allowing me to see that the most ordinary love that is always here. And where I actually found love is by doing the horizontal work and really embracing all these broken, shameful parts of myself. So it is going from here back again into merging into vertical work. So I'm really going energy. It's energy work. It's repression inquiry. It's somatic energy. It's deep energy work. So between the second dimension and the third dimension merging, what happens really, finally, I did so much of second dimension work, so much. And I was expressing myself, but I was really, really wishing nobody showed up. And I was really like, I really didn't want to do it, like internally, as much as I wanted to do it. But you know, the energy, the fear, the repression of shame and anger within me was not allowing me to fully be like fully present, fully just, no, I don't care. This is how I am. This is what is. So, but as soon as I started, even with a couple of sessions of vertical work, of repression work, this is what started to unfold. Like just my first couple of anger repression sessions completely removed like a debris that was left. Although I did reach repression with just KI work, there was a possibility to do that and feel the feelings, but I haven't felt all of the anger kind of rising and moving through my body and just really liberating whatever else was still there. And I'm not saying it's done. I'm still going back to it over and over again. And in this session, I said, I just posted, you'll see there's some anger repression there too. So, but what it really starts to allow us finally, you know, with a lot of people, and today I rewatched some of the training video from level 2, and I see people that been doing KI for a while. And it's interesting, there's still quite a lot of suffering. And I'm like, okay, what's really missing? What's the missing piece? And the missing piece is the repression work. And the repression work is the energies that we really had to completely reject about ourselves. I can't exist. I can't express. I can't, like, I'm a complete given away the power, complete given away of just everything me, basically. This deep fear of being oneself. So finally, what we find with that is the expression and the freedom of being oneself. Doesn't matter how it looks. Because it was not enough for me to mine out, you know, I'm not intelligent enough, or I have to believe I'm not good enough to be lovable with my mom because I have to be smart enough and whatever. But it was not enough to see the story. What was started to happen is the anger that was repressing towards my mom and towards everything that was happening, anger and the shame and a lot of fear of actually even asking for help or expressing myself. This is where really final kind of fuller expression started to dawn. Yeah, that freedom of being oneself. I mean, now what happens when we do a lot of vertical work or a lot of repression work, and if we do it skillfully, what we start to notice that it opens up a lot of just presence and quietude and just spaciousness that is not efforted, that is just naturally arising. Because finally, this pressure cooker that pushes the emotion so down and tries to, with all its commands and all the mechanism to keep it that way and keep it that way, finally this relaxes. And with that relaxes, what naturally is naturally here, which is presence. So what we start noticing is being restful in the unknown, and seeing your life slowly emerging as effortlessness becomes just natural. We no longer need to sit and meditate to find quietness. It's just the aftermath of unpacking the repressed energy. So this is how I see they do merge, they do overlap. Awareness has to be in all of these dimensions, because otherwise we're just mechanically doing repetition, like rapid fire or mind-body mirroring or commands. And we're just going to be either very flat, so nothing moves, or we're just going to be super dysregulated. And it's okay. Dysregulation is normal for third dimension. It's okay. But if we don't have the capacity and the, how do I say, the resilience of being present, then it's just going to be, we're going to find ourselves landing in safety, like almost immediately. We'll have one session, and then for 2-3 weeks, we do nothing. So this is kind of the ins and outs of how I see it. And it's not like I'm just going to do this and then I'm going to do this. You can just allow all of it to emerge in your session. If you know the tools, if you have the guidance, if you know how to use, let's say, body-mind mirroring, which would be let's say, the best, I would say, tool to cover all 3 dimensions. And let me see how to search it. Oh, no. Okay. I mean, this is kind of the same, but it's just how it looks a little bit more. So presence, again, what am I? So getting to know experientially, right? What you truly are fundamentally. So bask in just being in whatever way. If it's just, as I'm saying, it doesn't have to be on the cushion with eyes closed. It could be just in the shower, feeling the water on your skin for 5 minutes. And it might be unnatural, it might feel weird, but find your portals that don't feel unnatural. Find your portals that feel kind of exciting to be lost in time. Whether it's art or whether it's singing or dancing, whatever it is, just bring the element of noticing that you are just present and in flow. It's just being present. So be the witnessing space to all that's coming and going. So second dimension, KI, becoming aware. So the map of the ego, body, mind, survival strategies, that's what we're learning in KI, in second dimension. That's what we're seeing when we inquire, when we mine things out, when we meet everything. So we're learning the language of the unconscious and connecting the dots, seeing the stories, integration of the past, direct experience of neti, not this, not that. And then repression, inquiry, so deep somatic work, chronic pain, behavior patterns, sabotage and energies, and developmental trauma, procrastination, avoidance, fear, and of expression. So all are byproducts of deep unconscious repressed emotion, aka repressed energy. So this is kind of my more simplified version of the map. So it's kind of can land, so you can see that that they're not in contradiction with each other. What I want to bring here, you guys here in level 2, you're all interested in repression. What I want to bring here, that it's not just this one thing. And if we're just going to do that, all of a sudden everything is going to, just disappear and we're going to feel free. I think it's a little bit of everything. So how does it look in practice? We're going to talk about it right now, and we can see and we can practice some simple things. What else I would like to add about this? Yeah, so what I did find, just one thing I wanted to share, and it was from Scott. Oh no, okay. And then we can open up to questions and share. Yeah. This is so lovely. I'm like, wow. So, so at birth, we are given the key to the greatest wealth of that human can experience. So, and it's called being fully yourself, which is like so true, so true. So we traded it for emotional safety. Cash it before you die. So I want to talk a little bit about that, and maybe even open our conversation for this being a topic, this deep fear and this exchange to emotional safety of being oneself. Because for this, that's why I see the integral KI coming in. Let me stop sharing this and see you all. Because, and some of you perhaps did a lot of just second dimension work, and maybe you don't even need to return, but be mindful. Sometimes, like just recently, I came to this beautiful facilitation. Actually, one of my trainees were facilitating me for half an hour, and would used a lot of body mind mirror because they're only learning the second dimension, but I love body mind mirror. So I was teaching them all these different ways that we can use it, and just her facilitating me, it was so interesting to quickly come to a very deep repressed frozen fear. Like it was there, and the repression it's not the frozen fear was what felt like the repression itself, but it was the repression from there that would spring of being myself and expressing myself, and in this particular case of being seen weak. And it was so amazing to just use actually second dimension tools such as body mind mirroring, and very quickly arrive to the core that and the image and the story that I haven't seen in years. And the story that I haven't seen in years, instead of like running away, no, I have to like stick to just do the repression thing. And I like, you know, like just kind of, it's a shiny nickel. But no, I actually used the shiny nickel and ignited whatever I needed to feel. And it was so real and so true. Like my whole body was shaking with fear. And with allowing my body to shake with fear, I could see that what was choking me, and its inability to call my mom for help. Anyway, I was like, actually, it was kind of an accident. I was stuck as a 4-year-old between whatever metal bars, but I was so afraid of my mom's anger to call her because here I was afraid that I'm stuck forever as a child, you know, like intense panic. And here I was so afraid to call my mom because like, oh, she would come as more anger. And there's like this paralysis that happened, this frozen fear that happened, like I can't. But internally with this fear and allowing it to fully be here, and yet ignited with the story, allow the images to be here fully immersed within my experience, I was able to tap into internally, was screaming for help. It wanted to scream for help, but it couldn't, like it couldn't. And then through actually allowing it to move through, and I was able to eventually like literally scream for help in the session. So that's why I'm saying sometimes this hybrid way of doing things, like really bringing, maybe slowing down, bringing more awareness, it's totally okay. Like it's totally okay to slow down rapid fire. Yes, I know it's rapid fire, but it could still be repeating itself. But it could also slow down that you actually feel and to connect with the emotion, be with it, like feel it, like, oh my gosh, like, or like almost be possessed by it. Because when we slow down, bring that awareness, all of a sudden intuition kicks in. And intuition kicks in, and the actually energy itself starts to be the leading force. And that's what we need in repression, because if it's just this mechanical repeating the words, you're not getting anywhere. So it's this awareness piece again, first dimension meeting third dimension, and sometimes third dimension meeting second dimension. It's totally cool. There's no rules. I mean, just learn the tools, bring awareness, and experiment, get to know yourself. Like really get to know yourself, how you're processing best. Is it really fast, rapid fire, or it's like a fluctuation of like going fast, and then slowing down, really feeling into it? Is it like really sitting still and just being really mindful and just kind of repeating really slowly? You might activate much more this way. Or maybe you're like fully engaged with the energy of fear, or fully engaged with the energy of anger, and let it like kind of like show your body how, or your body show the way this energy actually energetically manifests in your words, in your repetition of rapid fire, body mind mirroring, or whatever, anything else that you're doing. Yeah, so I guess the emphasis here that it's not just one way. And I know Scott talks a lot about repression and people get excited, but then I see people jump into repression. And I spoke recently with the gentleman that I was supposed to work in, and he just over distressed himself and his nervous system, and he couldn't really handle it because it was just doing too much without having the first dimension, or without maybe slowing down and kind of bringing the compassion and the inclusion of the second dimension. So yeah, this is just to kind of tell you, if we do it skillfully, sometimes we don't need to do it almost like all the time. Like for me, inquiry happens, like it doesn't happen for a while, and all of a sudden it happens like an intense 20 minutes, half an hour of this deep connection to what's going on internally. And that would be for me more skillful and more effective than I would do just like, you know, kind of empty repetition, not really engaged just because I have to. Cool. I'll stop talking here. So I want to engage anyone and everyone. Thank you so much. Any questions about anything, and sharing your own observations, that would be amazing, because we all can learn from each other. I always learn from all my trainees, which is, I'm so grateful. Oh, you have to
Oh,
share.
just save.
Okay.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah. Go ahead, Mark.
When you came out with this map, um, when I first view anything like this, even a piece of music or so, it doesn't make any sense to me. So I copied it myself, and cleaned it up, and I just looked at it, and it was so brilliant. I could just sit with this and just feel like the essence of what this is all about, and how also how the KI group is evolving, constantly evolving. And that could be a problem at first because there's so much, I mean, I actually got depressed and like, this is overwhelming. I get overwhelmed really easily. So I allowed myself to just like calm down. It's always going to be, someone said this, look, this is the way it's going to be. We've got this, this amazing, brilliant light creating all the time. And it just gets better. But so yes, this is just feeling so good to me, how it's refining. And I guess that's all I want to say. It just I'm deepening as we speak. While I'm I joined the mentorship program. I'm just so getting full in all the way. Thank
Awesome.
you.
Awesome, Mark. Thank you so much. Yeah, and I will share the graphics. Thanks, Fernanda. I will show the graphics in the members area. Yeah, and that's the fascination. It's like it's birthing itself. Like I'm just so fascinated because we've learned so much. We've learned so much from all the trainees, all of you. We're all contributors to this work. Like literally, it's not just Scott or it's not just any one of us. It's all of us. And that's the beauty. It's like the intention, right, brings this work out into fruition, and it's constantly perfects itself. And yes, it's true, it can be overwhelming with so many new things that are coming out. But at the end, it's just engaging, as you're saying, Mark, you engaged in the personal mentorship, and that's just going to land instead of this scattered stuff that are exciting, that the members area, there's so much sharing, there's so authentic, there's so much heart there. But it can be overwhelming just to learn by ourselves. So it's like when we have like some sort of a structured way of learning these tools and connecting with people, other people doing the same thing, it's just so much more beneficial. And I think that was a little bit overwhelming for me to get into repression work because I needed to do it on my own, and there was no class or there was no training at that time. So it was just like, okay, watch a video here, catch up on whatever Scott is saying there. And it was a little bit, well, I'm not sure. Like, I'm not sure. I'm really not sure if I'm doing it right. And so it was a little bit like, whoa. And then I really had to like literally engage in asking Darby and Toshi to facilitate me. And I was like, okay, I'm learning. And then I'm okay, now I understand how to weave everything. So it really helps to find some help to kind of start integrating these tools. Yeah. Because then it just makes a little bit more sense. And when we learn finally the tools of first dimension, it's whatever your tool is, but second dimension and third dimension, when we really learn these tools, and if this work, it really speaks to you, you'll find your own way, intuitive way to weave them. And it is fascinating because each one of us can have a completely different kind of self-facilitated session because we just know ourselves much more intimately. And this is going to look very different from person to person. Because when it's a prescription, like I love Scott and his inspiration with like showing the way it worked for him, but it's not going to work for everyone the same way, because not you guys are not Scott, I'm not Scott, and I cannot prescribe you what helped me to wake up as well. What I can do is like I can ask you to start trusting yourself. Yes, learning the tools, building the toolbox, and yet Okay, now I have the toolbox. Who wants to come and play with me in the playground, whatever. So find a person who you can practice with and just get together and get to know yourself, get dirty, make mistakes. There's no mistakes really. If you have the first dimension more and more established, then you cannot make mistakes. There's nothing wrong. We can't do anything wrong because whatever we are cannot be really touched. So all you can do is really learn. So this is kind of the invitation. Yes. Yes, Andrew.
Yeah. Hi, Alina. Nice to meet you. I think we haven't spoken before, but just got a question. Like mind body mirroring, I also really like it. I've only known it for about 3 weeks, and you know, if I go to the supermarket, I get annoyed with, and then I just name it, and I'm like, wow, I named it, and it really helps. My question is, when doing inquiry, sometimes I just have a sensation, but with I can't get any words with it. So then I start applying, like, you know, stay safe, or I try to put things in, but I'm not really hearing them. But I've heard, you know, back the first or second or I'm putting them in. I'm just wondering what your opinion was about trying to put things in that we've heard, like stay safe, but we're not actually hearing it. Just wondering what you thought.
Yeah, for sure. So just to kind of reflect back to you, if I'm understanding it correctly. So when you can't really get the right words from the sensation that is happening, you just try to apply other words you've heard from somewhere.
Yeah, like I've heard today or yesterday, stay safe, stay safe, stay safe, stay safe. And I started trying it. I'm like, yeah,
Mhm. Yeah.
I don't know if, yeah.
Yeah, for sure. I can speak to that. So yeah, which is kind of nice. It brings me back to the tool I really wanted to speak about as practice for all 3 dimensions. And I spoke about it many times, but I'm going to repeat myself. So body, mind, mirror. And so we can acknowledge anything that's really happening in the body. So it could be, as you're saying, maybe a trigger or something like that. Maybe there's anxiousness. So maybe it's just like repeating, I am anxious, I am anxious. But maybe there's like a very unclear sensation here or contraction, and where it's not very clear for us. So for it to be really genuine and really work, you really have to connect with the actual, let's say, contraction. Let's say if it's in your solar plexus, really stop for a moment and just really feel it. And just be the contraction. And then from there, you're looking for words within the contraction. So what is this contraction already saying? So, and sometimes maybe you're not going to get immediately a response, but kind of stay with it. Just allow it to arise. What is it truly saying already? What's within? What are the words within this contraction? And you might hear something. And it might start maybe with something I can't or no, and it's so still not clear, but start with repeating that. So no, 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 no. And this, get curious, right? Know what? So you're still staying with the no, 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 I can't. Okay, stay with no, I can't, no, I can't, no, I can't, no, I can't. What I like about this, what I found really useful and really helpful, that it's not like, maybe it could be a command, but what I found, the flow and the intuitive way of allowing the contraction to even change words, like it's totally okay. Because let's say today in the session I was facilitating, I started with I'm poor, I'm poor, I'm poor. And it was started with deficiency story, actually. You know, you do a boomerang, you get triggered, you do a boomerang, and then you get that deficiency story that feels the truest, and you start firing that body mind mirror into wherever it feels in the body. And then what was emergent from I'm poor and poorer was like, it started that way, but it was almost immediately really feeling, being fine-tuned to the energy, to the contraction that I was feeling in my stomach. Immediately it started to say, I have nothing. I have nothing. And it was so much more effective than I'm for. And then from I have nothing for a while, it stayed there. And then it went into we have nothing as our family. So, and then, whoa, that was like even more. So I even feel it right now. It's like I have goosebumps all over. So yeah, we have nothing, we have nothing. And then that was like even more so generating so much energy within my body. So it's just trusting yourself. You're gonna learn, you're gonna feel into it, you're gonna fine tune into it. So body, mind, mirror, and apart from the contraction, let's see it under your question, we can also start with anything. It could be an energy, that could be a portal. It could be a deficiency story, it could be a portal. An emotion is a portal. So we can use anything, like even fogginess or like resistance, that could be easily, okay, what is the resistance already saying? No, fuck this, I don't want it, I hate 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 it. So go with it. Now, so body, mind, mirror, and like how is it touching upon all the 3 dimensions is, I come from a yoga lineage of mantra repetition. So I just know that repeating something and being one-pointed with it just brings us into presence. And it's just opens up kind of a portal to more spaciousness. It's just simple. It's just how to say, it's a tool. That's what it does. So it keeps us present. It keeps us connected in the body. And how awakening or non-dual, abiding experience feels like, it just feels that you live from the body and not from your head. So you're always in the body. So that's how it's also like kind of a part of that. We're getting to know, being acquainted to be in the body. Now this is how it touches the first dimension. Now the second dimension, if we just bring the attitude of curiosity, without even minding questions, but just the attitude of curiosity while you're firing that, like whatever. So I have nothing, I have nothing, I have nothing, I have nothing, we have nothing, we have nothing, we have nothing, we have nothing. You can make it out loud, or you can make it, if you're somewhere, you can do it quietly. And if you get fine-tuned to it, you'll see, maybe you'll slow down. So nothing, nothing. Or maybe you let it play out even more with more emotion, right? So you kind of engage yourself in it. And if you kind of engage yourself in it and stay curious what it's going to start, it's going to show you. I mean, in repression work, we call it shiny nickels, and we just usually don't touch. And I'm not inviting you to touch them, but what I'm inviting you, let your awareness to become aware of all the associations, because it's going to start showing you, okay, this is how we have nothing, and this is how we have nothing, and so on. So this is how it kind of builds you the map of the second dimension, just with one tool. And then, of course, how is it moving repression? Because it moves energy, is just staying with the energy and being connected with the energy and allowing the energy to lead the way will move it. It's either going to be regulated, or it's going to just spread out, or it's just stay with it long enough and dedicated enough, and you'll see. So I have a horrible thought doing. Sorry, there's a question. Hi, Klaus. Chris and Chris would take me to worse places. Can you ask me the question? I have a hard time like reading and understanding. Is that okay?
Yeah, I just have this, like you say now, aloud. Yes, like for me, it's so brave to say aloud. Like I have nothing. Yes, because is this like a belief that if you say aloud something to the universe, you really decree it. You really decree. Yes. So for me, it's like now I have this hard time because yes, sometimes I repeat all the time, and I have this facilitator friend that is helping me, and I repeat how angry I am, and I feeling that actually I am creating a negative circle and energy outside me because I have this imagination and I have these beliefs. So I am just like really thinking that all this is taking me to a very dark place, and I don't know how we'll go.
Yes.
So how did you do with this? I mean,
yeah, you know what? I was a great believer too and I'm still, I know we create our own reality, and word is powerful. It's just is the power. So you see, and of course, coming from mantra repetition and where the mantra was cleansing my body because it was just like this pure resonance and everything. So I had to put all that aside and really start seeing what's really happening. So if it's a repression, so this command or whatever it is happening, it's already running there unconsciously. And that's what is always creating your reality. That's why we're constantly being sabotaged, or we're suffering in one way or another. In this case, I'm poor or I have nothing was creating for me a very, very scarce reality financially over and over again. But it was so unconscious, I didn't know about it. So for now, if it's always running unconsciously and I don't hear it and I don't acknowledge it, and no matter how many wonderful books about, you know, changing my mindset about finances and starting to create my reality in a way, imagining it differently, when unconsciously it's always running. I have nothing, I'm nothing, we're nothing, we have nothing. If that's always there, or whatever else, you know, like maybe the fear of being of being not being able to survive, like that existential kind of inner fear that sits unconsciously within me, and finding the right words and repeating that is actually much more powerful and effective, because what I'm doing, I'm making things liberate. You need to understand. So things liberate in awareness. So like my whole business was based in presence alchemy. It's the presence and it's the alchemical force for things to liberate and things to transform. So when we bring things into awareness, so the unconscious becomes super conscious in this case by repetition. So it becomes super, super conscious. Now, the unconscious is what creates reality. It's not the conscious that is arising. The unconscious will always create reality that we're not really aware that we're creating, but we're constantly actually in this constant birthing the unconscious reality that sits within us. So to liberate and be more, not even in control of our reality, but at least not to be a slave to the trauma that lives unconsciously within us. Just to repeat once in a while, you know, I'm angry to liberate the anger. We're not creating a monster at all. The other way around, when the anger in me was repressed, because my mom was a monster, angry monster, really. So my anger was so repressed, so I won't affect my kids. And so I won't be, you know, damaging to everyone else, because that damage was happening from my mom when I was small. So my view, when my anger was repressed, if I unrepress my anger, I'm going to become a monster. I'm just going to become this angry monster that won't be able to contain. And when my kids will make me angry, I'll just like explode in anger. But that's not true. Unrepressed anger actually finds its more creative way to come as assertive speech, as boundaries, as actual anger if need be, if that's appropriate. Expressed anger, some words, assertiveness in speech, and so on in sports. So it's really, when things are repressed, we think it's gonna, you know, we're gonna unlock and create this terrible reality for ourselves. But we're already creating terrible reality for ourselves, right? I don't know if I'm explaining myself. I'm kind of a little bit all over the place, but hopefully.
No, yes, it's very clear. And so then we should like do the practice and believe that we are protected by awareness, you know, so that our practice are not going to damage anybody.
Yeah, the thing is, like, we don't need to believe, we have to actually know we are awareness. You see, like when we just believe we're awareness, that's not enough. And the actual experiential part to awareness will come by doing the practice as well. As I'm saying, when we do repression work and we really stay with it, stay with the energy eventually liberates. And just by being one pointed for a while, it's going to bring you into just stillness. without effort. But it has to be practiced. So, and then experientially, when you start knowing yourself that, you know, you're not something that, you're actually a benevolent presence. So it's not going to harm anyone. If anything, actually waking up and doing this work is more so getting out of the ego, which constantly harms everyone, especially ourselves. So it's, it would be
Hi.
amazing. Hi. Yeah, I'm just reading Fernando. Fernando, would you like
Oh,
to?
I'm sorry.
Oh, you're muted. Sorry, Z. I'll be back with you in a second.
Oh, sorry.
Here we go.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was just thinking in terms of Klaus's comments there, thinking that if she voices something that it's going to like make something a reality, but actually we don't hear it, but we actually have a megaphone. Our unconscious is a huge megaphone shouting out our reality already. And it's almost like when we embody it with our voice, that is actually much quieter than the whole unconscious kind of screaming out these unconscious commands, repressed emotions, etc. And so it's actually quieting it. It's actually diffusing it. And so the megaphone actually has something else to say because we've actually diffused it. And so it's not repressed anymore. So anyway, that was just an analogy I thought of, Klaus, when you were sharing there. I just thought, oh, it's sort of like, yeah, we think when we're speaking this out, we're like speaking out negative energy into the world or something like that. But actually, it's just the opposite. We're taking the negative energy we've been unconsciously shouting to the world. And we're actually, by repeating it, we're actually taking it out of the megaphone. And we're actually gaining control and choice over it. So anyway, that was just a thought.
That's beautiful. Thank you so much for sharing that. Yeah, and just brings me a little bit to the fact that, yeah, when we, well, interesting enough, it just ran away. So I'll just be fine with that. See, it was just this beautiful thing unfolding. I'm like, okay, I'm gonna make a smart talk here. Okay, forget about it. Maybe it will come back. It was probably not important. Yeah, Z, and then James will get back.
Yeah, so hi everyone. So I actually wanted to share something really vulnerable here and also speak to what Klaus was talking about. So in last November, my mother passed away and I was actually with her as she was passing away. She was in my arms, so it was quite beautiful, but unbeknownst to myself, I triggered very much because this missing element. I missed her so much because I'd taken care of her for 8 years and I just missed her so much. And there was an aspect of me that was like really free because I was free now to do a lot of other things and financially and everything else. But then that little inner child, that little girl that was extremely attached to the fact that I was taking care of her, and it was sort of like a purpose aspect in me. So what triggered was I want to kill myself. And what triggered was that if I kill myself, then I'd be with her, that missing element. So I decided to do some self-facilitation and decided to do some repression work with that, because the last time I actually I want to kill myself when I was a teenager. And I was going through like a lot of, dark aspects of myself, not feeling free and being in a Muslim country and all of those other things. And I just wanted to sort of end it all. And so I recognize, as you were talking about, Alina, I recognize that as, okay, this is obviously repression because it hasn't happened in 50 some years and all of a sudden it's present now. So, so I began to as much as I could be skillful in that, very skillfully did the repression work. And usually I would do it at night I know, take these CBD and gummies, which expanded me, so to speak, and then do it. And then I began to really drop into really, really even more so like darker places, like really dark place. Like I would next day wake up and say, okay, well, let's figure out the ways I want to actually kill myself. And I was absolutely aware of it. I mean, I'm completely in presence, in awareness, noticing that this is what's occurring. And it just feels extremely contractive and dark. So like earlier when you started the talk of like repression work works differently for everyone, and it doesn't always work in the, having to aggressively go for the rapid fire. And I recognize the fact that it is a diffusion technique. What it does is actually diffuses the energy that's literally embodied and embroiled in your system for years and years. So I went to what I know best, which is my background, which is presence, right? So I still continue to do the repression, and then I would slow down and actually feel into it, and then really notice that here is this, the background of awareness. Here is this is who I am. And within this, it's being held. And there is this energy, this deep energy that just wants to end it. And actually what it really, so I would get insights that I actually really, what it's really doing is it's wanting to end the pain, not actually the body itself, but it's perceiving it as such. And so, but I felt like in some instances, when it's distinguished, as you were talking about, that it is repression, that it's, for me, how it worked is to slow down and to actually rest a lot more. Even though it's sometimes I've experienced practicing with somebody or some people, like maybe you're repressing again, if you sit in awareness, and I can see that too, how that is possible. And I understand how that can be a possibility. And there could be a repression there when somebody wants to just bypass and stay as awareness. But here, that was very different. I mean, I could see that that really did help me to really bring in the awareness, bring in the presence, that which I already always am. And then from that space, truly hold this energy of, I want to just out myself. That's it. I mean, I'm done here. There's no, and all those other things that branches of there's no purpose here. There's no use in all those things that were connected to this. I want to kill myself. So just wanted to share that with you, Klaus, that I did not have the mindset that I'm repeating this. So I'm putting I'm creating my reality as I want to kill myself. That didn't occur to me, but what it did, I did notice that, holy shit, I really did want to kill myself, and I was repeating it as much as I was. And then just resting a lot more and then doing it, and resting a lot more and then doing it, and having all these insights, and then kind of unhooking slowly. And I mean, it's no longer there. I mean, this is like, we're talking about February. So I'm not in this, but anyway, if it's helpful, I just wanted to share.
Wow. Yeah. Thank you so much. Yeah. Thank you so much. It's really, really helpful because, and that's what I'm saying, like it has to be intuitive, this work. And as much as sometimes we'll have, like really just a month or two and we're really engaged with the practice and repression work. And sometimes it's just going to be okay to allow ourselves to bring in more presence or bring in more kind of pendulation between first dimension, second dimension for a while, and then come back and make it like more hybrid with the third dimension. It's like, we're not leaving the work. All of this is important. That's why I want to really emphasize here this integral way of bringing it all together. And as C just beautifully, and so I'm so sorry to hear about your mom and the whole experience. Yeah, yeah. So beautifully illustrated that it's not, sometimes we need that safe space for rest, because otherwise, you know, it's just pushing ourselves and pushing ourselves and pushing ourselves, and it's just not as effective anymore if we just push ourselves and push ourselves. So it's like kind of this fluctuation of jumping between all dimensions is totally cool. And I know, you know, Scott can emphasize, you know, like where resting in awareness is not going to be a good thing. And it's totally, I'm not recommending to rest in awareness when we're really triggered. We can gently mind things. We can gently approach things. We don't have to really just simply rest. And sometimes it will be okay. Okay, I just want to this point, I just need to transcend, and it's okay. And then when I feel grounded, then I can come back and do deeper work, even more so, because I'm just more resilient right now, because I know nothing is going to touch me, the big me. So I'm not saying, you know, it's triggered in awareness. I'm not saying that. But just be mindful and be intuitive. Like, what is it, your specific recipe, not Scott's recipe or my recipe? What is it for you that you need to do? Yeah, it's important. Thank you so much for sharing. And yeah. So James, and then James, hi, and then Guy. It's like the good students, I love the hands.
Hey, hey everyone. Yeah, there's a lot I wish to be able to express, and I hope to get at least some points across from my experiences. Alina, I think this is a really beautifully crafted approach to KI inquiries. Like, I wish I had this more towards the beginning, because I think a lot of it does depend on learning how to trust yourself and your intuition and picking up the tools that most resonate with you, especially in the beginning. Because I felt a lot of the times if I didn't know how to use a tool, or if it wasn't really working in practice, like it just became a tool to beat myself over with again, because here I am. And I was fortunate to have some really good experiences with some facilitators, Rodrigo being one of them. And it's funny because I thought it was kind of like inventing a new way, but you were just describing exactly what I was doing, like the mind-body mirroring and following your intuition to like feel where that energy charge is, and then try to just, it's almost like you're being an instrument for it to be released. And it's true, like you don't have to like rapid fire it per se, like it has to be like fast. And some of my most intimate like breakdowns, it would come as fast at times, and it'll be as slow, or like, or there'd be these pauses. And usually like towards the end of a session, as I just was releasing all of this energy, the pauses become greater. And like the pauses would then like kind of fill with this calmness. I don't like the serenity. I don't know, like it would just impregnate the moment with just okay. And then you would say it again, like I'm not okay. It's okay. And then it's like, all right. I want to say that one of the things I find most helpful in doing like the mind body mirroring, like in the rapid fire of your feelings, is that, yeah, oftentimes what you start off with as like the present energy, you start doing that, and then it'll dig deeper, like new things will come up and you can just change to it. I also find that vocalizing it is very instrumental into allowing that energy to just come out. For example, I several weeks ago had a session with someone, and it kind of started like this energy was like, how can I be so boring? Like, so imagine like school children kind of like in a semicircle pointing at me or something. And then it just really kept digging further, like how like, and the house changed into like every shape and form that any negative emotion or energy that was pointed or like directed at me throughout my life, it just started bubbling up. And so like how there was at one point where like, how can you do that? Like, how can you do that? Like, how can you be this way? Like, you want to strangle someone, or like, you're just curious, like, how the hell did you come up with that? And then there was this period of time where I was just like beating, like my hands got into it, like they're just like wanting to shake. How. And then like there was a hammer, like over and over again. How. And yeah, like as I'm doing this, I'm kind of like taking a back seat to like just allowing the energy to go. And like my only job is to just match it, like to find the most accurate way to just allow it to be. And I'm thinking to myself, man, like how many times have people told me, including my partner, like kind of beat things too much to the point, like where just I won't let something go. Bam, bam, bam. And it took that one session with the house, gosh, man, it took like a little over 2 hours to go through. But by the end of it, I just felt lighter, like, and it was great. And you just like, there was like a little smile in the face. And it doesn't always happen like where like there's these intense sessions. In a recent session earlier this week, I had this, well, in a prior session now, I met the ultimate okayness, like that part of you that really feels okay with everything. Like, Z, you were mentioning suicidal thoughts, and I've had those too. And when I've come close to like in the past, you know, nearing the ideation, attempting to go past the ideation stage, like I knew that I didn't really want to die, but like you didn't really have contact with that part of you that really cares, because you're just so used to all the layers of self-abuse. And it's like, it's a real shame that you've had to live with this for such a long time, and you've like tried your best to get past it, but like no matter how hard you try, you just get slingshot back down to just the crappiness. And so in a recent session, that it's okayness came up, but there was this other part of me that felt more true, just to say, I'm not okay. I'm not okay. I'm not okay. I'm not okay. And it's just like, it was this meeting of this not okay part of me and this okay part, and the not okay just wanted to go on. I'm not okay, not, just like a little kid at times, like, no, not okay. And then something would surface up, like what I'm not okay about. Okay, I got like financial issues, not okay. There's things that are making me feel not okay, just come up, you just say it. And yeah, and then you kind of pause, it runs its course, and then you just kind of sit silent and then wait for the next line to come up, whatever that is. And you go on just trying to match that energy. So yeah, I just wanted to share.
Yeah, wow, thank you so much. Really so true, and it's so attuned. It's so wonderful you found that way, because this is exactly what it is. This is what I feel. So being skillful, that's what it means, being skillful. It's when we're not just mechanic robots of these tools, but it's going to be so much more effective to be so much more attuned to the energy and let the energy play you out, so to say, like just be, and of course being there with just how do I say, trusting as well as leaning forward, and yet not losing yourself, meaning awareness is right there with the energy, with whatever is arising, with the repetition. And the repetition becomes just so much more intimate. You're just like, it's the intimacy that plays out with that energy. And then therefore, you know, sometimes it can be very, very slow, just like one tune, and then maybe that one word can stretch over, like, or maybe it's just not even a word, maybe it's just a scream, You know, it's like, but like, internally, you know, either if you can scream in your environment, kind of scream. If you can't scream, you know, you can scream inside, but you can make it just continuous. But if it still tickles that energy, if you're still connected, this is all that's needed. This is skillfulness. And then it's going to guide you to the next thing. So it doesn't have to be like, you know, like pressing on one note over and over and over and again. It could be just really like one note you press and it's like continuous, like, oh no, I hate this. And it's just going to be effective. Like you feel it, the energy becomes alive. And I hate it. Maybe it could slow down like that. But as I'm saying, like really play, we are an instrument. Yeah, beautiful. Thank you so much, James. I lost you. There you are. Thanks for sharing. Gaia. Yeah.
Yes, thank you for all the sharings, and I resonate with many of the things that have been said. But my invitation for Klaus, dear, would be to inquire into specifically what's coming up for you, which is the belief that if I repeat it, I'm going to manifest something, or I'm going to harm myself, or something along those lines. So have you tried that? Because it sounds like a very juicy material there that to me, it feels like just another form of maybe resistance that's coming up in that way. Of course, there's so many forms that had come up, and I bet it has some really nice gifts there if we just kind of go into that.
Yeah,
So,
that's beautiful. It's true. I mean, like immediately you can just ask, you know, what's the worst thing that can happen if I just, you know, it's just repeat, I'm angry. What is this, my ideas or concepts around anger, and everything's gonna come up.
or even go to the second dimension. I'm
Yeah.
not afraid to afraid to manifest something through doing this and see what comes up, because that's and that's already, I think, might open up a lot, you know.
I mean, everything is food, meal for the grill. No. Oh, food for the food for KI. Oh, wonderful. Any other sharing or questions?
Well, yes, I want to say, yes, I am so afraid. I mean, I am living a fairy tale world, and I think that if I express, I will make the ball of darkness more big, you know, bigger. So I will feed more the energy of darkness outside there. I am feeding the darkness. Yes, I know that if I keep it inside, also I am feeding, yes, with my thoughts, but it's less powerful. I don't know, it's like this word of magic, work of alchemy, work of that, yeah, many wise people say, yes. Yes, content that furious and be just transform it, because if not, you are going to feed the darkness. So there is my fight now, you know, there is my fight all the time.
Yeah, I hear you, Klaus. And at the same time, I just kind of from direct experience, I can tell you that no matter how many books I read about manifesting reality, it's like my reality was not really manifesting to the way I wanted. And all that to say is that not until I really unpacked the unconscious stuff that was overriding my conscious ability to manifest my reality, because unconsciousness is much stronger than the conscious stuff. It's just like, it has a lot of power. It's like the womb of creation. So, I mean, if you have the right techniques to completely deprogram and reprogram yourself, like reprogram the unconscious, like great, you can do it. But I would say, you know, it's like we really need to bring ourselves into an alpha state, you know, completely different mind state. And then from there, start imagining our reality. But yet, even with that, what I've noticed, yes, it creates somewhat, but then the unconscious stuff, like the poor, the me who is poor, who has nothing, was sabotaging so many opportunities of some more free flow of finances coming my way. So here I was creating, and here the unconscious stuff was destroying it. Here I was creating, and here it was destroying. So it's just to say that when we do liberate the unconscious stuff, so if the anger is still there repressed, you know, it's still kind of contributing to the fact that anger is a part of reality. It's a full spectrum of being human, a full spectrum of this experience. It's not bad. And it's only looks as bad when we repress it, because we repress it because it was scary in our childhood in some way. Like my mom, as I'm saying, she was a scary monster. So it's like, I don't want anger in the world. But then when I came out of anger repression, I'm still working on it, but pretty much, you know, came out, at least it's allowed to be here. Maybe I can't fully yet express anger verbally, maybe not there yet, but it's like the beauty of that is that so many other things just opened up in my reality. It's not just the fact that, you know, the actual self-expression opened up. My ability to give my mom the love we were missing between us in that relationship, finally go even in sessions into those places and stand in my power in the face of her anger and actually love her. It was beautiful. It was so beautiful because it was so transformative. Actually, unrepressing my anger created so much more love and so much more connection and so much more power in my life, stepping into my power and into my voice. So yeah, it does not create that bad reality. It's just creates much more freedom for all of us. Yeah, thank you. Thank you, Klaus. Renee, yes.
Do you need to go? Because I don't want to, I'm not going to be that long, but
No,
okay.
let's what, another 8 minutes or so. We're good. Yeah, is that
I'll try to use it all. No, I'm just kidding.
Yeah, yeah, please do.
A great meeting, and thank you everybody who shared. And this just came while you guys were just talking these last few minutes, and the overwhelm of discovering that my life was the story I've created to be safe. It's just self-betrayal, and the whole coming to terms with even hearing myself say that, because I've never thought of myself being self-betraying. It wasn't purposeful in that I knowingly self-betrayed, but I had to do it to survive. And so what came was the elephant that I was given at birth. Here's an elephant, take care of it. But I didn't know it was an elephant. And the reason I'm saying elephant, because the metaphor came up in that, you know, you can't eat an elephant in one bite. We can't do anything in one bite, one try, typically. I'm not saying it can't happen, but so I've been lugging around this elephant, and it was small when I was small. And as I got bigger, it's gotten bigger, and I pack it, I put it in a boat, I take it on vacation, I take it everywhere. And realizing that metaphor was really all of my repression, has really helped me. Instead of looking at the elephant or the repression, now I can say, and trying to pick what bite I'm going to take next, using my intellect to pick. I'm not saying anybody here is doing that. I'm just sharing this because it came up. And instead, let the elephant talk to me. Make friends with the elephant. Love my elephant because it took care of me. It's still wanting to take care of me. And what part of the elephant needs attention first? And welcoming that. And it's way easier to say the words than it is to do the work. I just, the sense of overwhelm and the sense of fear around discovering something that is so horrendous that we can't even think about going there. I do understand that. I've been there. Sometimes I still go there. The difference now is it's not me. It's something that happened to me a long time ago. And what is happening right now is triggering something in me that makes me want to pick up my elephant and bring it close and carry it around. But fuck, who can carry an elephant all the time? And how exhausting to carrying that bugger around. So just wanting to express that our fear is the biggest hurdle, and not that all of you don't already know that. It just allowing the fear, learning to just be okay with what we think we can't handle and sitting with that, learning to sit with the elephant, and the elephant will talk. And that's all I really had to share is I don't carry around an elephant anymore. I might carry a leg or a trunk or the tail, it's got all the shit on it. But I don't carry the whole fucking thing anymore. And I'm so excited about that I can actually put it down. And like Alina, like you said, having a different relationship with your mother, the people that are your VIPs, if you still have an opportunity or want an opportunity to have a different relationship, only we can change that. And not by pointing at them, but by looking at the elephant and working on me and being different in the world. And being accountable for myself changes how I am outside. That doesn't mean those things don't still come up. I don't have the same reaction to it. It's like, that's their elephant. Thank you.
That's beautiful. Thank you. Thank you so much. Perfect. Love the elephant. Yeah, there's some comments in the chat, Renee, for you. Yeah, yes, truly. It's so fascinating. It's like it really is, a full circle, like coming to this work, and it's just whatever I was escaping with seeking and seeking liberation and seeking enlightenment. And it was just, and prior to that, really trying to numb myself and trying to numb all the repressions because I couldn't connect with people, and I did so much drugs so I could connect with people. So it's just was, and then escaping all that because of that was already uncomfortable, and looking to escape unconsciously. I didn't know what I was escaping, and I was escaping that fear, that inner frozen fear of being myself from the beginning. Yeah. So it's amazing that full circle come to this work and still liberating that frozen fear in some areas. It's quite fascinating, but I mean, at least it's no longer sabotaging my reality. At least, I mean, there are some moments you'll see in the self-facilitated video, but it does sometimes for a good 2-3 days, but it's okay. I have the tools to deal with the elephant. Yeah, thank you. Thank you all. Yeah, it was lovely. Thanks so much for making it so breezy. Yeah. So yeah, anyway, this happens every 3 weeks. I'm going to post it. And the next week, I think it's Serena or Mihai, but it's similar theme around, marrying all 3 dimensions and how to do more skillfully third dimension work. Wonderful. Sorry, guys, you know what? I need to say from the beginning, as much you can chat between yourself, but I'm really bad at like paying attention here and reading at the same time. So I haven't attended all your chat stuff. So if you had something and I missed it, I'm sorry. Next time I'll let you know ahead of time that I'm not a chat reader.
It's your elephant. It's just a theme, and Gaia said something really funny in there. So something about the circus, and maybe we could just go there and return our elephants, and then we're done. And we don't need to even be here. Well, I'll go to the circus this weekend. Thank you all.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you all.
Thank you.
Take good care.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye. Bye, everyone.